Hey, welcome everybody. We are now in the last days of June. Just a quick reminder for you, everything that we've talked about here in June, you have until the end of today, the 24th, to get those pre-orders in. So whether it be the GP15s, the U50s, or the N scale release, the big one, the 13K tank cars, you have until the end of the day to get those pre-orders in. We're going to start talking about July new items. And so without further ado, let's bring that on board here. And we're starting the month out with a bang. Now, we are now introducing the Amtrak California passenger cars. And of course, this is all new tooling. This is piggybacking on the Surfliners that we did last year. And let's take a look at these real quick. Now we're doing things a little bit different this time. This is the first time these 1994, 1995 era cars have ever been offered in plastic. And we're offering these in sets, and we're offering them in singles so you can build the train that you are looking for. So here we've got the cab coach. I'm going to zoom in on some of these here so you can see the end details. This is a cab car, so it's going to have sound. You can also get it without sound, but have the some of the functions. Now this picture here, this is taken by Christopher, and we're going to have some more information on these cars in the coming weeks. We'll be talking about them on Train Tuesday in depth, as well as some special things that are going to be happening this month for the month of July. Here we have the coaches, and you can see we're offering 3 different coaches. Now, one, Sacramento River, this is offered with sound. However, the other 2 that you see here are available only without sound. Here's the dining car. This is also without sound. And then we have the Amtrak California passenger set. This is available with or without sound. And it is depicting a early 2000s version of these cars. And you can see that special edition 4-car set recreates a common 4-car San Joaquin or Capital Corridor car about the mid-2000s. Now, again, we're going to talk about these in depth in Train Tuesday in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. And we'll go over all of the cool features that these cars have. Now, a lot of work has gone into these. Here's a great example of what development's been working on behind closed doors. This will give you an idea of what the dining interior will look like. And again, we'll go into much further detail on a Train Tuesday soon. But I wanted to show you guys just the many different details that these cars have. These are going to be the most detailed passenger cars out there. So we're also adding the Amtrak California 2, kind of known as the Surfliners, also in the Athearn Genesis HO. Here's a coach car. This is available with or without sound. We also have the Coach Cafe car. That is available without sound. Here you can see our developer, Janik, has been busy with these cars. Here's a picture that he took. We got some neat stuff to show you towards the end of the month on what we're doing with these cars, and really excited about these. We'll go over the brand new tooling. We'll go over the features. But just want to make you guys aware. Now, you can start pre-ordering these cars as of today. You have until the end of July. You've got all the way to the 29th of July. But I would go ahead and get those pre-orders in soon because you know these are going to go really quickly. So moving on to our next item. This is an item that's been in demand lately. This is the ICC Caboose. We are doing the CA9s. These are the Union Pacific coal service cabooses. And we're doing a variety of these. These are the cabooses known for their slogans. I'll zoom in quickly so you can see the slogans. So we have America, we're pulling for you on all of these, on 2 of these cars, and then safety reign on our train. These were popular slogans that were added to the cabooses in the 1970s. And we're going to be offering them here. These are going to be equipped with DCC and lights, or you can also get them with DCC sound and lights. Again, these are predominantly the 1970s into the early 1980s. Now we're also offering the CA10s. Again, this is ICC Caboose Genesis HO Union Pacific CA10. We're offering these in a few different versions. Let me zoom out so you can see those versions. Again, 1970s into the 1980s. Now these feature their slogans as well. These have a little bit different variety. We'll zoom in on these so you can see. Some of you may remember these. Carefully we roll along. You can see it's got its ACI panel. Safety, the living end. We're a great big rolling railroad. Do yourself a favor if you get the chance, go into YouTube and type that slogan in, and you will see the old promotional advertisements for UP. It's kind of a catchy song. It's kind of an earworm. Once it gets in there, it's hard to get rid of. But it's a cool commercial, and you'll understand this reference right away. And then we've also got the Keep on Truckin' by Train. This was very popular in the 70s. You know, it goes without saying that in the 1960s, the trucking had started making inroads into the UP. Well, the UP said, hey, you know what? Let's start doing a TOFC program, and that's what they did. So their slogan was, keep on trucking by train. A great way of using 2 different transportation methods to get customers their goods. Now, remember I told you in a Train Tuesday not too long ago, we were going to be doing something big because it's July. And we are a company founded in the United States. And of course, July for all of us folks that are in the United States or our home is the United States, this is when we celebrate our independence. And in 1976, Independence Day was a big deal because we had approached the 200th anniversary of our independence. And so it wasn't uncommon for railroads to paint up a specific locomotive or even freight cars into a red, white, and blue paint scheme. Now, this is part of our legendary liveries. Union Pacific never did this paint scheme, but I'll show you in a minute why we're offering this legendary liveries caboose. Now, this is based on a paint scheme that would have been seen in the 1976 era, but was never applied to this caboose or to any of the UP equipment. But we'll talk about that more real soon. Now, these are equipped also with DCC and lights, or you can get them with DCC lights and sound. Last but not least, another legendary liveries, a Western Pacific caboose. Could this have happened? It's very possible it could have happened. We all know what happened to the Western Pacific. But for those that want to speculate, those that want to have the Western Pacific go on further without the UP influence, here you go. We're offering this legendary liveries Western Pacific. And we'll talk more about the interesting history of the developments found about this caboose later. So once again, these are Genesis levels, so they're going to have a lot of details, the lighting, optional sound. They're going to have a decoder in them, so if you're an operator, these just make your operations that much more prototypical. So here it is. I told you there's going to be something big, and here it is. We are offering the DDA-40X. Now, there's a really interesting story behind this legendary liveries, and we'll go into detail about it on a special Athearn Extra, as well as Train Tuesday. Now, this never happened, but believe it or not, This almost did happen. In fact, the story goes that the Union Pacific had drawn up plans to have one of their DDA 40Xs repainted into this striking bicentennial paint scheme. And when it was brought before a committee that makes a decision, it was turned down by only one vote. So if that vote had gone the other way, well, this is what we would see. Now we're offering this in a special limited edition set. We're going to offer the DDA 40X with the Caboose. Now the Caboose does not have sound, but it does have DCC and lighting. And again, we've upgraded this model, so we'll talk about that more in depth later. While we are on that subject, there's the ICC Caboose again, part of that limited edition set. So you're going to want to get this pre-order in now. They are going to go quickly. If you wait till next year when these are coming in, you may be disappointed. Now we're also offering 2 more DDA 40Xs. This first one, 6900, we originally offered it before, but we found that we did not have the correct detail parts to produce this model. Well, now we do. So for you guys that had ordered 6900 before, we're happy to say that now we can do this model the justice it deserves to be within the Genesis line. We also did number 6901 in our Prime for Grime, and this is a great look for what would have been seen probably into the 70s as they were starting to reach the end of their career before having another brief stint in the mid-1980s. A lot of new features on this. Real quickly, illuminated truck lights, illuminated classification lights, illuminated number boards now. We're also going to have the see-through walkways, and this one is going to have 4 cube speakers in it. So like the U50 that we announced last month, this one here is going to have that same feature. It's going to sound amazing with those 4 speakers. Coming up next, our first Athearn Genesis HO car of the month, and that is the PS2, the 2893 covered hopper by Pullman Standard. These cars, if you're modeling anywhere in the United States, Canada, or even Mexico, these cars are very, very popular. You see them everywhere. And so we're offering these mainly in a couple of different eras. We're offering chassis in 3 different road numbers, but if you look carefully too, we've also got CNO and BNO versions that are going to be done. So there's some subtle differences. If you want to see what those differences are, go to our website at athearn.com and you can check those out. We're also doing the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. One that we haven't done is the Grupo Cementos Mexicanos. This is a really cool car, and it's probably one you're going to want to add to your collection. This is a car that's 1980s era. And then going back in time a little bit, 1957, we've got the Milwaukee Road, pretty much as delivered freight car. Going into both the 50s and into the 60s, starting with the 60s with the Southern Pacific and the Cotton Belt. So these are cars that you're probably going to want to add to your collection. Now, one of the things to remember about these Genesis cars is the details. Let's go over some of those details real quick. Photo etch metal roof walk. All your outlets are detailed. You're going to have the cut lever. You're going to have the rubber air hose. Those are just some of the things that you're going to have. All that brake detail, that's all there. It's all seen. Nothing is molded on. It's all separate. So these look great on your home layout. If you've got a club layout, you might want to bring them out to the club every now and then, but these are really great for your home layout. Maybe you got a small layout. You don't have a lot of room for a lot of cars. Consider the Genesis model, since they are the top of the line HO scale cars we produce. All right, so we're going to jump into the Athearn brand. Real excited about these. These are new models. These are the Athearn GP40-2 diesel locomotives. Now, this is a response in a lot of customer questions that we get, whether it be on our social media or the emails that go directly to product development. A lot of you guys out there really appreciate the Genesis detail, but some of you guys just want to build a fleet, and we understand that. So with the Athearn line, that allows us to build a fleet of locomotives as they are, where the details are pretty much consistent. They're not based on a specific number, they're based on how they appear. And here we have CP Rail. These are based on some former Milwaukee Road units, but these are 1990s. This is the classy CP Rail red. Now, one thing that I want to address on these is if you look carefully, we're doing something a little bit different. These are all DCC ready, so they do not include a Tsunami 2 or any type of decoder. These are ready. And one of the things that we did with these is they are sound ready as well. So all of that equipment's already in there. All you need to do is add the decoder, sound decoder of your choice. And it's real simple to do now. So you buy these, they're DC, but they are sound ready. Also, for the first time too, we're going to be adding operating ditch lights and strobes depending on the prototype. So this unit here that you see, you have both front and rear ditch lights. Once you get your decoder of your choice in there, you have that lighting function. You also have that sound function. So this is really exciting. And if you want to build your fleet up quickly, this is a great way to do it. Coming up next is the CSX and the YN2 paint scheme. We're offering 2 road numbers. Again, no decoders. They are decoder ready, sound ready. For you guys that model a little bit newer era, here we have the BNSF and that striking, pretty much a lot of guys call this their switcher scheme or their standard Spartan cab scheme. A really striking paint scheme. These locomotives, their bodies, their shells go all the way back to the CB&Q era. They were rebuilt during the Burlington Northern era, and they were redesignated during the BNSF era. And we're offering these 2 different road names, I'm sorry, 2 different road numbers. And again, sound ready, decoder ready. So if you need to add some Spartan cabs to your BNSF fleet, here you go. This is a 2010 Zero. We also want to add these Amtrak GP40-2s. This is one that we thought you guys would really enjoy. And this one, if you have the decoder installed and the lighting features ready to go, this one comes with a strobe. This is based on a 1990s model, 2 different road numbers here. Now, a couple of things before we move on. These are road name specific details. So you'll notice as you look at these online, some will have the chicken wire grills, some will have the more modern grills. It depends on the prototype. Our developers looked at these locomotives and they applied the details specifically to their road name. Now, we know Norfolk Southern is very popular, so we wanted to bring you 2 road numbers for the Norfolk Southern. This is into the late 2000s, so a relatively modern model. You'll see that it's got ditch lights. Those will function once you get your decoder in there. And it's got ditch lights on both the front and the rear as per the prototypes. 2 different road names here, or road numbers. Again, we're going to have an episode of Train Tuesday. We'll go into these in detail. Coming up next, Athearn HO 50-foot high cube double plug door boxcar. Now, you can always use these in your fleet, whether you've got a club layout, a modular layout, or a home layout. These always come in handy. These are 1980s, 1990s models. We'll talk more about them in detail, but we're offering each one that you see here in 3 different road numbers, so real easy for you to pick up the boxcars of your choice and the road names that you want. We've got Union Pacific for the 1990s, Santa Fe for the 1980s. Conrail guys, rejoice. I know you guys, actually Conrail, we're kind of giving you 2 options here depending on what era you model. We've got 2000s era Conrail. And we've also got Penn Central, 1970s. A little bit of work, you can definitely make that Penn Central into a Conrail model. and definitely a cool addition to this release. A lot of guys asking for BC Rail, so here you go. We've got BC Rail. This is era 2000s. And for you 1990s fans, we have Norfolk Southern. Now, again, each one of these road names have 3 different road numbers, so it's real easy to add these to your fleet. Now, here's one that we haven't offered in a while, and we got a lot of feedback on our social media, especially when we ran the milk cars last week. They're like, hey, can you do some of these? And so we're happy to announce that we'll be running these 40-foot express box cars for the month of July. You have until the end of July, 7/29, to order these, pre-order these. We're offering these in the road names that you see here, 3 different road numbers per road name. Union Pacific here with their striking 1952 era paint scheme. We've also got the Pennsylvania 1940s era. Baltimore and Ohio 1940s era. Canadian Pacific also in the 1940s era. Coming up a little bit newer into the 1960s, we're offering the Rio Grande. And then last but not least, the Southern Pacific 1940s paint scheme. We'll talk more about the prototype in an upcoming Train Tuesday, but for you guys that have been asking for these, I'm sure you're really happy to get the pre-orders in and add these to your fleet soon. Got another Athearn HO scale boxcar for you guys. For you guys that are in the per diem era, the 1970s, really interesting time in railroading history. We wanted to offer some of those per diem cars, and the reason why it's so popular is look at the names of the railroads and the bright colors that we were seeing. It's kind of the last hurrah of the boxcar. We've got for 1975, we've got the Detroit and Mackinac. We're offering that in 2 different road numbers. We've also got for 1979 on the Chicago and Illinois Midland. We've got the Pearl River Valley, 1979 for that one. Lake Superior and Ishpeming, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly for you guys up in the mitten. That is 1974 era. Pitkins Railroad, 1975, and of course, no collection would not be complete without Railbox. This is a 1980s era car. So for you guys that are modeling the late 70s into the early 80s, these cars are perfect to add to your fleet. And again, each road name that we've talked about here offered in 2 different road numbers. So real easy to add those to your fleet. We're not done with Athearn HO this month. We've got some more. And everybody needs covered hoppers. We're offering the ACF 2970 covered hoppers. Now, we're doing something a little bit different with these guys. We are offering them in the singles like we normally do. We're offering 2 different versions of the singles, but we're also offering these in a 3-car set. So that gives you the opportunity to have 5 cars within the same road name, but with distinctly different road numbers. Coming up next for the 1989 era is CSX. Going back to the 70s, we've got ACF Leasing. Fans of the 1980s, we've got the Burlington Northern, which were based on the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. These were new for 1966 for the CB&Q. We've got Corning Glass going into 1970. And then last but not least, we have Missouri Pacific, 1979. Now these are Athearn cars, but they do have some great details. They're going to have round or through hatches. They're going to have the photo etched metal roof walks. So they're really nicely detailed models, and their price point is perfect for the guys that want to do operations, or they bring these cars on shows for, say, a modular type layout or a display layout. But these are great cars to add to your collection. We're going to talk a little bit about Roundhouse now. We've got some Roundhouse offerings. These are 34-foot 2-bay composite coal hoppers. These became popular during the World War II era. We'll talk more about these on an upcoming Train Tuesday. we wanted to offer these in the following roads. And these are mainly within the steam era. Some of them did last into the 50s. If you're modeling later than the 50s, you could always justify having one of these in your yard, or maybe the dead track, or wherever your creativity strikes you. But mainly these are steam era cars. We're offering one road number per road name. We have the Santa Fe, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, the Baltimore and Ohio, Chesapeake and Ohio, the Nickel Plate Road, and the Virginian. Now, Roundhouse HO, they're going to have details that are mainly molded on. These are great for younger modelers, somebody just getting into the hobby. They're not going to have as much detail as, say, a Genesis or an Athearn car, but if you've got a younger modeler, you know how it is. They're not quite there with their manual dexterity yet, and this is a great way to save those details for later in life. These are also good if you do any type of display setup or modular railroading, especially operations. They do really well with the operations. Now, even though they're Roundhouse, they're still going to include McHenry couplers, and they're going to have metal wheel sets. So they have some great reliability to them. All right, let's switch scales. Let's go to N scale. We're going to be doing another Athearn Genesis N scale car. Following on the heels of the 13K tank car that we did last month, we're going to be doing the same thing with some covered hoppers. These are the ACF 2970 covered hoppers, and we're upgrading these to the Genesis era. Now, these lines here, just like their HO scale brethren, they're going to have the same road names, same eras. We're offering them in 2 different singles as well as a 3-pack. But what does that mean now that these are Genesis? Well, these are Genesis levels, so they're going to have separately applied details like grab irons, metal etched walkways, brake detail, cut levers, body mounted couplers, metal wheel sets that will work on code 80 all the way down to code 40, and air hoses. Now, we'll definitely be talking about these in an upcoming Train Tuesday. Sticking with N and sticking with covered hoppers, these are the Athearn N scale. These are nicely detailed, although they will not have the cut levers or air hoses and some of the other subtle details that the Genesis will have. But these, for most N scale modelers, will have just as much detail as they need or require. Again, these are the Pullman standards, 2893s, and we're offering these following road names in N scale. Now, one of the things I want to point out quickly is the chassis system. There are artwork variations between the 3 different road numbers that we're announcing. So if you want to see those before Train Tuesday, go over to athearn.com and you can see those subtle differences. Again, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, the Grupo Cementos Mecanos, and the Milwaukee Road, and Southern Pacific and Cotton Belt. So you can see the errors there, which ones will work best for you. These are great cars. We've had them before. We've done some small refinements to them over the years, and we're offering them in these road names here for the month of July. So there you have it. That is a very long list of what we're going to be doing for July. Now, everything that I've shown you today is available for pre-order right now. You can call up your favorite hobby dealer and order any of these items. You have until Friday the 29th of July to place your pre-orders for everything you've seen. Likewise, if there was anything that you saw in June that you were kind of on the fence on and you really want to get that pre-order in before the deadline closes, you have till the end of today, depending on what time your dealer closes, to get those last minute June pre-orders in. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope you're getting ready to have a great weekend. Join me again on here for Train Tuesday. That's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And also be on the watch of our social media for when we will be doing a special Athearn Extra Live and it's all going to be 4th of July themed. So I'm looking forward to that. So until next time, everybody out there, have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Do some modeling, be safe, be happy, and above all, high greens, everyone.